too lazy to take all the layers off and move the mic, so it's just gonna be like this. But when I do the moving around test, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna put the buttons on until the day before the photo shoot, which is exactly what happened. This is my Holo Hood. I am running out and I won't have enough to do everything. I look stupid. Hi, my name is Naya and welcome to episode 66 of my knitting podcast, where I share all my thoughts, process and other random stuff about all things fiber related, but mostly knitting. Today is the 11th of November 2025 and I'm coming to you from the French-speaking part of Switzerland where I live with my gecko. I have so many things to tell, as always, because I wanted to film a podcast last week, but then I ended up not, because I wanted to knit and I haven't had just a day of chilling and knitting for a month. And I really needed it, so I did that instead of filming and I have zero regrets. But I have a lot of things to tell today. So the program is I have a pattern release and I have two very small finished objects. I have one garment I fixed, but I need to refix it because I didn't fix it correctly. And then I have two whips of the same pattern and two swatches. Oh, and I also have a very small acquisition that I have already swatched. And some yarny events that took place recently. So kind of story times at the very end. And that's it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the pattern release, which is the thing I am wearing, which you probably know about if you've been around here for any amount of time. And this is my most worn garment not since I finished it, because when I finished it, it was like July and it was way too hot. But since the weather cooled down, I've been wearing it all the time. It's my go-to. At home, when I go out, when I go to parties, like when I want to be dressed up or when I just want to chill at home, it's the best for everything. So this is my white day cardigan. I started designing it at the beginning of the summer. And it's finally out now after 3 months of testing, and I'm, by the way, going to show you the testers versions, the picture here, so you can see it in different yarn weights, colors, textures also, and on different body types, and just how amazing it looks on everybody. I'm just so happy, I'm just so proud, and yeah, let me get you through the details of this one. So first, the yarn I used is 2 yarns held together for the body. It's bouclé, so that's the brand, and the name of the yarn is Handdyed. It's a place in France where the ships that make this yarn come from. And it's very special, it's very natural, it's very rustic. I don't think it's soft. I can definitely feel the texture, but it's not itchy. And I'm very sensitive, so that says a lot. And this is the natural color. You cannot get it dyed, however, you can buy it already mordanted so that you can dye it yourself, naturally dye it. Because it's a different mordanting process if you want to naturally dye or use like commercial acid dyes. Whatever, it's a natural colorway. And I held it with 1 strand of Titicaca by Holst in the colorway Écru, which is like a creamy white. And it gives this very beautiful off-white, but not creamy either. It's like just a white that goes with everything without being too yellow or beige or anything, and not being like bleached white. You know what I mean? And the black I use for the tuck details here is Biche Buche Le Lem's Wool in very dark grey. They are leftovers I have from another sweater, but I'm gonna talk about that again later because I am using it for something else as well. For the sizing, it's kind of an in-between because you may know already that my proportions are very off the charts, so I cannot just knit size 2 like I would if I were just using my bust measurements to select size, because then it wouldn't fit my shoulders. So I did size 6 for the back and size 2 for the front, because it's a... no, wait. This is a saddle shoulders. So the saddles are... you can kind of see the seams here. it's going to be easier to see on the pictures. And you need the saddles first, and they meet on the back, so that it makes the back of the cardigan higher than the front. I mean, it's a V-neck, but I still want the back neck to be higher. And all the shaping happens in the saddles. So you have decreases here on each side, on front and back, so that you have more height here than at the tip of the shoulder here. And that means when you pick up the stitches here from the saddles to work the front or the back, you don't have to do any shaping. There is no short rows to make a slope because the slope is already in the saddles. It's so neat. I'm so proud of this detail, and you're gonna see on the pictures from the back it doesn't look like a straight line because you have the drop shoulder effect that makes a nice curve on the edges, and it just looks so smooth. I love it. And it's very fun to do because it's different from what you usually do. And there are less short rows because you do the shaping with increases and decreases. So if you don't like short rows, this is a good one. The other important detail is that usually with short shoulders, drop shoulders, you have a bunching of fabric here at the underarms because you have the shoulders that drop and then it makes a kind of a fold here, and you have just excess fabric, which I really don't like. It's uncomfortable, it doesn't look good, and yeah, I just don't like it. So I have shaping here with decreases that just remove this excess fabric and that make this beautiful and clean fit, and it just gives a clean and more elevated look than like a big potato sack that can sometimes happen with just a rectangular drop shoulder construction. And of course the underarm shaping with the increases to fit the curve of the arms. Of course there is a sleeve cap on the sleeve so that you have a continuous line here between the shoulder and the sleeve, again so that you don't have excess bulking of fabric at the underarms. And that's it in regards of shaping, which is already a lot, but there is nothing complicated. It's just follow the pattern and the instructions and you will get something that fits. The tuck detail is optional. You don't need to do it because I know a lot of people think the garment overall is great but are not convinced by this detail. You can just skip it. It's super easy. Literally just don't do it and you're done with the modification. I just think it adds a little twist, a little something, like a little visual interest, because this is very plain. I mean, aside from the saddles, but they are not really that visible. I mean, for mine it is because it's white, but if you have a color or you're just using a dark color, it's definitely less visible. So it's just to add something special to an otherwise very plain garment. And I think, yeah, it's just a nice touch. But again, it's optional. And the other thing that makes this very plain visually is that there are no ribbing at all. Because I'm not a fan of ribbing. I just don't really like the way it kind of makes every garment look more sporty and casual. And I didn't want this to be sporty or casual at all, so no ribbing. The edges on the cuff and on the bottom hem are folded over stockinette. And the button band is in double knitting. And that way you have smooth stockinette everywhere. And that, for me, that's what gives the most possibility in terms of dressing up or dressing down. It's the cleanness of no ribbing, basically. The only thing I would like to have in this, but I don't have, is pockets, because since I wear this all the time, I would like to have something to put my hands into or just have my phone or tissues or whatever. But I think pockets, just as ribbing, tend to give a more casual and sporty look to a garment, so I think it just wouldn't have fit with this one. So it's okay. I regret that they are not here, but also I don't, because if they were, it would be a different garment, totally, so it's fine. But a little pocket would be nice too. And as I mentioned, so this is my most worn garment because I can wear it in every situation because it's just so easy to pair with everything. Mostly because it's white. I'm very happy about my choice because it was boring to knit because it wasn't any like color I particularly like or anything. But the yarn was so gorgeous, so squishy, so airy, so beautiful that it kind of made up for the absence of color. And I wasn't bored also because the construction is so interesting and the body is not that long. So yeah, it went pretty fast for me. And the yarn, when I first finished it, I can show you pictures when we had the photo shoot, when I had just like completed the garment. I had blocked it once and it was kind of stiff, definitely. You can see there are weird creases because the fabric is just too stiff, there is no drape, the yarn is still sticking to itself in a weird way. And yeah, it was looking a bit strange, but after a few wears, the yarn softened up so beautifully, and now, as you can see, it has a gorgeous drape. I mean, it's close to, you cannot really tell, but it's a beautiful fabric. Yeah, you can tell. It's softened up a lot, the feeling is gorgeous, and it's super, super warm. Because the yarn is very rustic and very airy and very lightweight, it just, yeah, it's cozy, it's comfortable. What can I say? I love this yarn, I really recommend it. And it hasn't peeled, not at all. There are a few places where it peeled, but it's very, like, considering the amount of wear this piece has had, it's really nothing major. So I have a couple of peels here. I'm not even sure you can see them. Yeah, here, there is one. I didn't put it out just to show you, and then I also have one here. Yeah, here, there is a little one. And then on the inside of the bottom hem, I have a few. And also, I'm mostly wearing black pants, and the black has kind of worn off on it, but the pants are brand new. I haven't washed them once, so yeah, it's pretty normal that there are a few stains. But other than that, it's in perfect condition. I would say maybe here, where there is the rubbing of the arm, it's a little bit fuzzier. I don't know if you can tell, but this part here is slightly fuzzier. I have no idea if you can see that. But other than that, that's all. It's actually a bit softer here. So I have high hopes it's going to be as soft as here everywhere in maybe a year or 6 months. I don't know. I'm also very happy about the choice of alpaca because, I mean, to hold the second strand of alpaca with the main yarn, because I think if I had the yarn bare against my skin, it would be a bit too much. But the very, very gentle fuzz of the alpaca, I wouldn't say it's a like fuzzy yarn like a mohair, absolutely not. I mean, you can tell there is a minimal halo on this, but I think it's just enough to protect my skin from the rusticness of the yarn. So perfect combination. I really recommend. Okay, I think that's all for this one. The needles I used are 4.5 meters and the gauge is 17.5, so it's like a big worsted weight gauge. And the main yarn is DK, held with the lace weight. So yeah, kind of heavy worsted, I would say. And I have a second version planned because first I wear this one all the time. It's so practical. I love the V-neck because I can breathe more easily and not overheat, and also I can open it up because I realize sweaters are actually not the best for me. In terms of practicality, I just prefer open front stuff. So I need a second one. And I have some yarn in stash that I bought years ago. It was a gift from my brother. I mean, no, I asked him if he could gift me a gift card from Woolberry Fabric Company so that I could buy a sweater quantity. So he gifted me the gift card and I bought the sweater quantity, which is 5 or 6 skeins of Suri alpaca, the lace weight Suri. And I wanted to hold it triple to make a Lakes pullover or Lake sweater by Ozetta, and it's also a saddle shoulder. And I bought 2 skeins of non-superwash fingering so that I could hold it double to make the edgings, like the collar and the cuffs and the bottom hem. But then I never cast on because I wasn't 100% convinced. I was always like 99% convinced, but there is always a 1% that I wasn't sure. Something wasn't working. And then I realized that I don't really like sweaters. So I was like, I'm not gonna plan a sweater if I know I prefer cardigans. But the Lakes at the time wasn't available as a cardigan. I think now, I'm not even sure there is. Anyway, but there are other saddle shoulders design, of course. But yeah, I just was waiting on the perfect idea to show up. And then I designed this, which is a saddle shoulder cardigan with kind of a big gauge. And I was like, this is perfect. I'm just gonna knit my own design with this very, very special yarn that I have been saving up for years. But I don't have enough to hold it triple. And I never had it enough to hold triple. So since the beginning, this wasn't gonna work. So I think I'm gonna hold it double and add a strand of very cheap random brushed alpaca, for example, the one from Drops in a similar colorway, so that I can have the gauge I want and I can also make the price of the sweater go down a little bit. And yeah, that's the plan. And I'm so excited about this project. I really want to cast it on. But I have other plans. But seeing how much I wear this one, I really need to like knit another one because it's ridiculous. I'm literally wearing this every time I go out because it's so perfect. And I need to wear something else. I need to change. The pattern is available on Ravelry and Payhip, and you can get it for 15% off with the code Happy White Day. The code is valid on Ravelry and Payhip, and until the Sunday, I don't know what day that is, Sunday, end of day, Central Europe time. And I hope you will enjoy knitting it and wearing it as much as my testers and I have. And if you wear it as much as I do, wow, that means you're literally sleeping with it. All right, let's finally get into what I've been working on lately. I've been talking for 20 minutes already, so I'm gonna just rapid fire through the things I want to say. Because yeah, it's small stuff, it's funny stuff, but small stuff. So if you watched the last episode, you probably know I finished a pair of Gecko Mittens. It's also a design of mine. This one is gonna come out on the 1st of December. And I had knit one of the mittens way too small, like I was missing a whole 6 rows, which is completely messed up. So I had to frog almost the whole thing until down here under the thumb. So I had to remove the thumb and reknit the whole mitten, redo the thumb, the Italian bind off everything. But now it's done. So I have my 2 mitts and they match. They are the same size and they are so stinking cute and I'm just so happy. So here they are with the detail. You can have this, you can swap the hands if you want. So here the detail is on the hand and you have this thing on the back of the hand. They are the same size and they are so squishy and lovely. And the yarn was gifted by Sandy from the shop Douce Broderie. It's Drops Fiesta and Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, the one I was talking about before. And I kind of want to keep them, but they are samples for Sandy's shop. So that's why she gifted me the yarn, so I could make the samples for her shop. And something else I finished reknitting is my Shady Hoodie, also a design of mine. I think everything today is a design of mine. And I wanted to reknit the sleeves because they were a bit too narrow, and I also reknit the border, the whole border, so it goes from the bottom all the way around the hood, all the way around the other border. So that was a big piece of knitting, and I did it. So very proud of myself for being a big girl and doing this modification. Only because I wanted the front to fit a little bit differently. I made the front of the hood. If I try to put it on, I'm too lazy to take all the layers off and move the mic, so it's just gonna be like this. What am I even doing? I'm way too hot. But yeah, now the hood does a little bit less this weird it was doing before. Now it kind of sticks like this, which is what I wanted. So very happy about this modification. However, I think the sleeves are still too short because I was so focused on the fact that they were too narrow and I wanted to modify the decrease rate so that I would have more width around the elbow, that I completely forgot to stop and check if they were really long enough. And I thought they were. I mean, I knew they were like a tiny bit too short, but I considered, because I went up a needle size for the sleeves, I considered the change in gauge plus the few rounds I added at the end before starting the cuff would be enough to make the sleeves longer, but absolutely not, and they are too short. I mean, what I like about a sleeve is when I do the moving around test, that they still come at my wrist, because that means when I do the standing straight test, they cover my my hand. I mean, I've been moving around here, but when I have my arms down, they come to here. And that's a sleeve that's long enough for me. But this one, when I have my arm down, it's the nice length of bracelet. But when I do the moving around test, they come up to here. So it's too short, and I'm so pissed. Because I really need both sleeves entirely. I frogged the whole thing until the underarm. And yeah, it's still too short. So I have two options. Either I reknit the whole sleeve again. I can only save the last, like the first 10 rows and change the decrease rate, because I did 10 decreases on every 10th row. And I can change that to 10 decreases on every, no, half of the 10 decreases on every 12th row here, and then on every 11th row here, which is going to add 15 rows altogether, which is the length I'm missing total. Or I can only undo the cuffs and simply lengthen here 15 rows and then redo the cuff, which is of course going to take a lot less time. But I could still live with a sleeve that's a little bit bigger on the elbow, a little bit, because it's still a little bit small, because my arms are bigger. And this, I didn't modify the pattern enough to have bigger arms. I did the modification for the shoulder stuff, but I didn't do modifications for my bicep. So I have the arm of a size 2, but I need more like size 3 and 4. So it's a little bit small. So I think I'm leaning towards unraveling the whole sleeve and doing more slower decreases. Which means I'm gonna need 6 sleeves for this thing. Even more, because at some point when I was doing the first sleeve, I did frog the whole thing because I wasn't happy with the decrease rate. So 7 sleeves for one garment. I don't know. What would you do in my place? I think I know already which one I'm gonna do. And I think if you know me, you can guess, but what would you do? Yeah. And I added the buttons, finally. I did say, when I finished it, it was like a few months ago, and I did say, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to put the buttons on until the day before the photo shoot, which is exactly what happened. The photo shoot was last Wednesday, something like that, and I added the buttons on Tuesday. It's just how I am. So it's coconut wood buttons, but it's carved with this flower motif. It's very cute. It's kind of visible, but that's because of the lighting. If I'm wearing it, it's a bit more like in the shadows and less obviously like this. So I'm pretty happy about this choice. I didn't have a ton of choice because I bought them at the local supermarket, like the big store, because I totally forgot to buy buttons when I was at the Yarny Festival last month, which is really dumb because there were a lot of beautiful buttons there, but I just forgot. I'm getting there. At some point it's going to be finished, but today is not the day, sadly. The yarn is, I'm going to talk about it later anyway, so whatever. Now, we can finally talk about my main work in progress, now that I'm done with the random small stuff. So it's, again, a design of mine, and it's... I'm getting there. It's almost done, but at the same time, not at all. So, I have 2 balls of yarn attached, so I'm going to try to not get tangled. This is my Holo Hood. I think we're going to go with this official name. I wasn't 100% sure, but I love it so much that I'm just going to stick with it because I don't think I can come up with something any better than that. So the Holo Hood is hooded shawl or a hooded, that's how to say, cowl. There will be the 2 options. So there is the hood portion here, and then you have 2 long wings that come from either side, both sides, and you can wear it like so. It's supposed to be gigantic. I'm doing the biggest size so that you can have, like I have a ponytail here and then headphones underneath, and then you can just wrap around the thing around you like this on one side, and this one is attached, so it's going to be a bit tricky. But if I don't strangle myself with the needle and the yarn, this is the idea. Oh my god, it's so cool. I love it. And it's reversible because it's brioche. So, as you can tell, I have started to do the border here. Can you see how beautiful this is? Oh my god. It's a cable border. It's basically just cabled one after the other, and it makes this beautiful, like, curly rope-like thing that just, yeah, wraps around the border. I'm gonna sew it down because it's flat, and it just wraps around like this, and I'm gonna sew it down on the other side so that it's completely round. I started here at this tip, so there are increases up until like here, I think, so you have a beautiful point here at the tip. And since I'm using my hand spun, I have this amazing gradient, and I'm so happy. And if you followed my present episodes, you might know that my first idea was to use the black color for the border, because there is a lot of pink in this yarn, which is hand-dyed. Wait, the yarn I'm using, it's all hand spun, both colors. The black one is Onyx Top by Woollen Twine Fiber Studio. It's a mix of 50-50 Varpels and Gotland, and it's a natural black. It's undyed. And this one is Handdyed Rambouillet Top. It's hand-dyed by a viewer, so you cannot get this anywhere. It's just for me. And I love it so much. It's beautiful. It's a perfect balance between pink and blue. And yeah, you can see the gradient here. Oh my god, it's so good. But I was a bit worried there would be the perfect balance between pink and blue would be too much pink for me to wear if the border was in this yarn. Because yeah, if I had a gradient like this with pink and blue, I don't know, in my head it was just not working, and it would be a bit too difficult to pair. Whereas with a neutral black border, it just felt a bit easier for me. But when I finished knitting both wings and I was considering which yarn to use for the border, I looked at the yarn I had left, and there was mostly blue, except for this one spot of bright pink here. Everything else was blue. So I started with blue, and then I have the bright pink spot, and then I have blue again. Blue and purple. So here I have some purple that's coming. But if you look at the inside of the ball, it's going to be hard to show, but I have blue coming, and then blue again with pink, but blue again, and then inside is blue again. So I have mostly blue, which is fine for me, for the border. So I decided to go ahead and do the border with this yarn. However, I am running out, and I won't have enough to do everything. And it's annoying because, again, this is hand-dyed just for me, so you cannot get this anywhere, but also I cannot get more. But I think it's going to be fine, because I think what I'm going to do is do this border with this yarn until I reach the base of the hood, so somewhere around here. And then I'm going to switch to the black to do the edge around the hood in black. And when I reach the other side, I'm going to start with the colorful yarn again. And I think like this I should have enough, because I also have my swatch. There is pink here again, but here it's mostly blue and purple. So I can unravel my swatch, and I calculated I can have about 30 centimeters of border if I unravel my swatch. Worst case scenario, I have that. So I think it should work. And then I can have kind of the best of both worlds, because I can have around my face in the neutral black, but I can still have the beautiful gradient of the braid around the wings. Oh, It's so good. So yeah, the best of both worlds, and I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm so proud of this detail. What do you think? Isn't it beautiful? Have you ever seen something like this? Because I haven't, and I'm so proud. And let me tell you, I struggled so much. I mean, because I haven't seen anything like this, I haven't done anything like this, so I had to kind of invent it. And to do the increase sequence while cabling, while picking up and doing the applied thing, but I managed. And also I had to find the perfect tension because I didn't want it to be like too short and curl like this or be too big and ripple. So I found the perfect spot, but I had to rip back so many times. But I found it. So now for the pattern it's going to be perfect. And yeah. Anyway, I also use a interesting technique because when you finish the tip of the wing, you have the two yarns attached. So the black color and for me it's the black color and the colorful color. And you are picking up using one color, so in my case it's the black. So the ball is still attached. My ball is attached here. I have the strands here. And I'm doing the border with the other yarn. So I can work a bit of the border, and when I reach the end of what I have picked up, for example, I reach here, and then I only have this many stitches picked up, I can just let go of the colorful yarn and continue picking up with the black yarn, a bit more stitches, and then slide the needle and continue the border with the other yarn, and I can just chase myself, which allows me to not have an absolutely gigantic needle that does the whole the whole side of the whole thing, because I would need 2 meters long cable for that. And also it allows me to rip back and modify the pickup rate without having to rip back the whole thing, because your brioche gauge is probably going to be different than mine, and your cabling gauge is also probably going to be different than mine, so you may have to change the pickup rate compared to what I have. So if you only pick up a little bit and work a little bit of the border and notice it's not okay, you can just rip back this instead of the whole pickup, because that would be horrible to do. So I'm pretty happy about this technique. Knitting experience is also important. It's not only about the finished look. So yeah, that's my trick. I'm getting completely tangled in my yarns. I need to stop manipulating this thing. Anyway, this is coming up nicely, and I have already cast on the other version because this is sport weight, and I've been thinking it could be nice to have one in a heavier weight yarn, because I happen to have the perfect yarn in stash, and I was like, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity to use up stash yarn leftovers, so I did that. And those leftovers happen to be also handspun. So my first handspun that I initially spun to make the Gecko Mittens. So I have made a pair of Gecko Mittens, but I used almost nothing, like 20 or 30 grams of each. I have 2 colors. So I had huge leftovers. I also have this yarn, which is Biche et Bûche Le Lamb's Wool, and it's the yarn I use here. I initially bought this when I did a test knit of the Little Crystals pullover for Celine Phaeton. So it's a black main color with a red colorwork sweater, for my version. And I had like 2.5, almost 3 skeins left, and I have used it for small random stuff like this, but I just wanted this out of my stash. And it happened to be a similar weight to my handspun. So the handspun is my first handspun ever. It's 100% Corriedale. This one is undyed, I think, and the other one is Yarnadelic by John Arbon. And those are iron weight. This one more almost bulky, but this is iron weight. And I had 70 grams of each, kind of. But this is worsted weight. But since the Holo Hood is in brioche, you can match different yarn weights together. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to use up those leftovers that I have been hanging around for years, and those that are new, but I want to use up because it's precious yarn. So I cast on the Holo Hood. I'm in the middle of a row, I'm sorry. And this is what it looks like. It's so good. Can you tell I love pairing black with colors? I can't help myself. So this is the this side with the handspun yarn on the outside, and if I turn it over, you have the black. Oh my god, it's so good! Look at that! I love brioche. It's just so cool. And I really think the Holo Hood is just the perfect name. It's like the holographic hood. It's perfect. I'm so excited. So I'm using up the blue yarn. I think I'm going to use it until I run out, which probably will be... Oh, God. The needles are stuck. I don't think I will have enough to finish the hood part, but I want to do the wings. I'm going to do the cowl version, because this one, the first one I showed, is the super long wings for the shawl version. And this one will have shorter wings that you can just overlap on the front like this, and you're going to have 2 buttons on each side, one on the outside and one on the inside, so that you can like button down, secure the tips of the wings somewhere here. And it's going to be less bulky, but it's still going to like close. And also, you can place the buttons wherever you want, so you can decide if you want a cowl that fits snugly or that is pretty loose. You can decide. And that means when you have the hood down, it's not going to slide down, because it's going to be closed. It's going to be so good. So the wings are going to be in the grey. And the border, I don't think I'm definitely not going to have enough of this yarn to do the border in this one, but this one is slightly thicker, and it's even more irregular and thick and thin, because I did this one before this one. I mean, I did them together, but I started with this one. And I don't think I want this even thicker yarn for the border, because it's not gonna look the best. I think you might lose the cable effect, because the yarn is gonna override that with the thick and thin effect. So I could do the border in black, which is definitely a possibility. But I could also use another skein that I bought at the same time as those, just because it was beautiful. Can you tell this was a long time ago? Because I don't do that anymore. So it's the same yarn, but this colorway is Bleu Vert Doux. And it's a beautiful yarn with incredible depth of color. I'm not sure the camera picks it up, but it's like light blue, but heathered with purple, gray. There's a hint of pink. It looks really like a holographic color thing. It's like a rainbow blue pastel. I don't know. It's literally holographic color, like the soap bubble. It's kind of like this. It's gorgeous. And I'm not sure it would match, but maybe it would, because I would have those 2 colors. So maybe this one is an in-between. So maybe the border in this yarn would be nice. Or in black. I don't know. But yeah. I would have to try. Once I finish the whole thing with the wings, I'm going to try with this one and see how it looks. But I'm so excited. This is so beautiful. Yeah, so this is what I'm working on. This is my portable project, because it takes ages since it's brioche. I'm slowly working on this. I'm so excited. I love it. I have said this 10 times already, but I truly am. I love this so much. Anyway, that's it for my work in progress. Now I have yarn everywhere, so I cannot read my notes anymore. This is going to be interesting to clean afterwards. So now I have 2 swatches to show you. The first one is kind of chaotic. So this is the premises of another lampshade. So you may or may not know that I have knit myself a couple of lampshades already. And I was talking with a friend on Instagram, and we were talking about the bouclé yarns in general. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cool to do a lampshade in bouclé? And she was like, yeah, that would be awesome. So, but I didn't have any bouclé in stash to try. I mean, in a color that I would want as a lampshade. And a few days later, Sandy, so my friend from the local yarn shop I was talking about earlier, she wrote to me and she sent a picture of bouclé yarn in white, and she said, do you have an idea of what you could do with this? And I was like, yes, I do. So she gave this to me to try it out. And I have started doing this kind of weird swatch for a lampshade. So it's going to be a very small lamp. The plan is to have it on the storefront of a shop. Let me show you the lampshade first. So this is what they look like. This one is all over cables. And I want to do, since the bouclé is very busy, like if I do cables, you're not going to see anything. So I would like to try small lace motifs. So I drew the most disgusting lace chart. I've never really knit lace, but I mean, I know the idea is to do yarn overs and then decrease the yarn over stitches, and just the way you place them forms a motif. So I drew the most disgusting chart here, and I tried to do this on my swatch. But I was tired, it was late in the evening, and I just missed half of the chart while I was knitting it, but whatever. And you can see, you cannot because I'm wearing white, and this is white over white. But there is a little diamond tip here, and then I missed one diamond completely, and then I did the big diamond here. But it looks kind of awful because, yeah, as I told you, I haven't really done lace charts, like big laces charts ever, or when I did, it was years and years ago, so I don't really remember how it was working. So I kind of messed up where I placed the decreases compared to the yarn overs, and yeah, it looks like trash, whatever. But I know what I did wrong, so I know how to correct that. But this is just to get an idea of the gauge, so that I can calculate how many stitches I need around the lampshade to have the size I need. But this is coming, and we lost the light, so I cannot... Is this out of frame? Kind of. I cannot really show you. But yeah, this is my vision, and imagine the bouclé with the light bulb behind it. It's gonna be so sweet. And I'm considering doing it simpler because I'm worried the texture of the bouclé is a bit too much and we're losing the motif in lace. So maybe I'm gonna do just the small, 4 yarn over flowers, the very, very small one that you see very often these days. Maybe it's gonna be enough, and maybe less is more. I don't know. And I need to decide quick because I need to finish this by Friday. But yeah, this is a very fun project I'm working on, and I think I'm going to write up a pattern because if the lampshade is on the storefront at the shop, people are going to want to knit it. But it's also going to be such a simple pattern, like just cast on this number of stitches and then knit this small lace chart. So I can do that pretty quickly. And maybe I can add later on the charts for other kind of motifs. Who knows? But yeah, this is a fun project I'm working on. And this yarn, I'm not sure if it's really worth telling you what this is, because it's a bit, yeah, it's coming from a shop, a very, very big shop in Switzerland that mostly specializes in fibers, threads, yarns for weaving. So it's very, very thin threads, but you can't buy them. But it's not made for knitting. So if you want to knit with them, you need to hold them like double, triple, quadruple, or even 10 strands together. But this is kind of an exception because this is bouclé. And the makeup is very similar to the bubbly bouclé I use for the Patagonia Peaks, or even from the bouclé alpaca thing from Drops. It's very similar, but this one is not alpaca, it's wool. It's 100% wool. And it's quite scratchy, so I definitely would not make a garment with this, but I'm super sensitive. So I'm guessing this is just as scratchy as any rustic yarns around. It's less soft than this. I mean, there is alpaca in there, so I'm not sure, but... And it's also perfect for, like, how do you say Christmas? Christmas gift. Because it's very easy to do, it's beautiful, but I'm not sure I'm going to finish the pattern before Christmas, but we will see how it goes. And the last thing I want to show is also a swatch. Oh, it's here. I mentioned that I wanted to make a melon cowl because I have the melon sweater pattern, but it's a fingering weight, it's pretty involved, it's quite a difficult pattern, and I figured it would be nice to have a simple accessory using the same stitch pattern so that people can like train this stitch pattern and the increasing, decreasing things before going into the full-on sweater. And I wanted to do it for my mom. And I wanted to use thicker yarn so that it would go faster. So here are my swatches. So I have 3, but they are connected because I didn't want to cut the yarn. So this is the first swatch I did. And I did this one using the leftovers from the Shady Hoodie, which is why I said I would mention the yarn again later. So this is Nightshades by Harrisville Designs in the colorway Fever Dream. It's a black base heathered in red. Beautiful. I wanted to use it paired with this yarn. So this is actually a top that I knitted. No, it's crochet. It's a crochet top. Before I went into knitting, I was into crochet. So I did garments in crochet. But I never wear it because it's very heavy. It's a superwash yarn and it's crochet. So it uses up more yarn, which means the fabric is thicker and it's denser. And it just feels a bit too heavy for me. Plus, it has no shaping. It's two rectangles of fabric sewn together with a hole for the head. And I cannot wear that. And also, it's cashmere, so it's warm. So it's for the warm season, for layering. But since it's two rectangles without any shaping, when I have my arms down, there is a lot of excess fabric here. And if I have a layer on top of that, I have like huge bunches of fabric here. And it's very uncomfortable. So I cannot wear it as a layering piece, but I cannot wear it in the summer either. So I don't wear it. And also the color is not really my color. It's a very cute pink, but yeah. I bought this yarn at the very beginning of my knitting journey. It was the first maker of hand-dyed yarn I ever discovered. It's Expression Fiber Arts, and it's the cash silk base, so it's a cashmere merino nylon base. It's beautiful. It's very soft. But I don't like the color. It was the very beginning. I think it's probably the first hand-dyed yarn I bought. And I didn't realize the colors I like to see are not necessarily the colors I like to wear. And I don't like wearing this baby pink color. Just pink. I mean, it's funny because it's also pink, purple and blue, but it's mostly pink with a hint of purple and blue. And I prefer mostly the three of them together, mixed. Anyway, I'm gonna unravel this thing. I've been trying to find a project to work up this yarn into because I knew I wanted to unravel it, but I didn't know into what. So there was no point in unraveling the yarn if I didn't know what to use it for. But now I know, so I'm gonna unravel this. I think I can even try it on to show you one last time before it disappears. I look stupid. Yeah, so what's this? It was folded for so long that it's not really falling like it should. I don't think I should have such a stark. Yeah, it looked better before. The pattern is the Graceful Top by the same maker, Expression Fiber Arts. They do hand-dyed yarns and they sell patterns. So this one is one of the patterns they sell. Very simple. It looks horrible on me. I'm glad I never wore this. Anyway, I had a little bit of leftover. I mean, I had a ton of leftovers, but I did 2 pairs of socks, one of which I gifted to a friend and she felted them, and then I made a pair for me and I felted them too. Both of us felted our cashmere socks. So I held 2 strands of this with 1 strand of this. And I did this swatch. So on the first part, no, it's going like this. On the first section, I used the black yarn on the background, and on this one, I used the black yarn on the foreground. And I sent a picture to my mom asking which one she prefers and if she wanted me to use a different yarn. Since I held it double, the colors are a little bit more blended, but also there was different dyed colors between each skein. I had 4 skeins originally. I think I used like almost 3 skeins in this one, and then I need 2 pairs of socks, and I had a little nugget left over. This doesn't have a lot of blue speckles, but on the back there are a lot of blue speckles, and on this one there is almost no speckles at all. So you cannot, yeah, it looks like a different yarn, but whatever. My mom asked if I had something less dark than the black, something like a purple or something, and I knew she would say that because I know my mom, she like never wears black, ever. So yeah, I was pretty sure she was gonna ask that. And I went to my stash and I found this leftover. So this is the black the initial black, and this is the purple I found, which goes kind of well with this one actually. And this is a sock yarn that I bought even before I bought this one, I think. So this is even older, and I've been hanging on to this. I've been wanting to use it up, but it's kind of a color that doesn't really go well with anything I have in my stash, so it's kind of difficult to use, and I've been trying to use it up since forever, but this is also an awkward quantity, it's like 50 grams. However, I made a hat. First, I bought this skein because I wanted to try to knit socks. So I think my first ever pair of socks I knit with this. So that was such a long time ago. And I had 50 grams left, of course. So I was like, I'm gonna knit a hat. So I cast on a hat, an Oslo hat holding this double. Oslo hat is a DK weight, and you need more than a skein to make Oslo hat. So, and I only had 50 grams. So of course I had to buy another ball. So now I have like 40 grams left and an Oslo hat, and this yarn is itchy on my forehead. I can't wear it. For a few minutes it's fine. The hat is cute. I like it, but it's itchy. It's already itchy. So I don't wear the hat, and I have this left over. So I'm finally going to unravel the hat, which was on the same pile as this, which is the pile of garments I don't wear and want to frog, but I'm waiting until I have the perfect project to frog them. And now I have the perfect project, so I'm going to frog this, and I did this second swatch, which is still attached again because I didn't want it to cut the yarn. And this is what it looks like. So I have the pink as the main color because that's what my mom said she preferred. And I used the purple on the background, and it's much better for what my mom would wear. It's much less contrasting. It's so much more her alley. And yeah, this is perfect for her. So I'm glad she asked, and I'm glad I found something. And I also, here you can see, I did the I-cord bind off in one color, and I just bound off. But of course it's flaring out because this is a slip stitch motif. The name of the stitch is a long slip stitch, by the way. If you want to look it up, it's super easy. So slip stitch has a tighter gauge, so when I bound off simply, the bind off is flaring out. So here I did decreases, so it's not flaring out as much. I think I could do more decreases even. And I also used two colors, so you can totally do that. And then I ran out of this one, so I had to stop alternating colors. But the idea is there. So I would like to make one of those sideways cowl that you knit flat, and that's shaped like this, but you knit in this direction, and you sew together the two edges here to make a circular shape. Because it's the type of cowl I like wearing the most, and I think it would be perfect for this kind of fabric. I use 5 millimeters for this, and I think I'm gonna go up to 5.5 because it's a little bit too thick. Or maybe if I block it, it's gonna soften up. No, but I still think it's a bit too thick. So I'm gonna try again with 5.5, and I'm gonna unravel everything. And it's very satisfying. I mean, the fact that I'm finally finding a project for special yarns, I mean expensive yarns, that was hanging around, not in my stash, but in my wardrobe for so many years. So that's very satisfying, but also my goal is to get my stash down. And I'm literally adding yarn to my stash that I haven't even had the pleasure to buy because I already have it. So I'm making my stash go up without buying yarn, which is kind of frustrating, but also it's fine because I'm using up yarns that would go to waste otherwise. Or I could give the hat, but I tried giving this to so many people, but nobody likes the color. It's just a random color. Anyway, this is what's coming. I actually wanted to start this project this weekend, but I didn't because I wanted to show how ugly this is on the podcast. But now I can finally cast on, and it's gonna be my next portable project once the hood is done, because the slip stitch pattern takes just as long as brioche, so it's gonna be very nice for that. And that's it for the knitting. Whew, that took a while. And now I still have a few stories to tell you. I'm sorry you have to watch this until the end of the episode. I should have maybe steam blocked it, but also, yeah, it just goes to show that... Anyway. I have two things to tell you about. The first is that I had a pop-up event at the local yarn shop, not the one I mentioned before, another one that's actually in my town. So the pop-up event was 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, yes, 10 days ago. And the shop is named Little Mai. It's down the road from where I live, like 15 minutes down. It's a very cute shop. And I met the owner because she applied to test knit a design for me this summer. And then we started chatting, and she said it would be nice to have like an event where we would have my patterns displayed at the shop, and I would be there to talk about my patterns to the clients and everything. So that happened 10 days ago. But there was I'm not sure if it's a misunderstanding or what, but there was very minimal advertising. So nobody knew I was going to the shop. And I wasn't sure if I could do any advertising at all because it's not my shop and I'm not going to do their communication stuff at their place. So I didn't really know where to stand. So yeah, nobody was aware I would come there. And it was a very gloomy day and nobody was around at all. I don't know where people went this weekend, but there was nobody in town. I don't know what happened. There must have been an event somewhere else outside of the city and everybody was there, but yeah, whatever. And there were almost no one that showed up at the shop at all, even if it was a Saturday afternoon. So it ended up just being like a, how do you call that? Like a knit and chat afternoon. We were just the shop staff and me hanging out at the shop, knitting on our projects and just chatting around for the whole afternoon. And it was really nice. My samples were displayed at the shop behind us, and I did talk about them a little bit with the shop staff. But that was kind of it. And it was nice. I had a fun time. It was a great afternoon. But yeah, it wasn't really what I expected. But I don't really know what I was expecting either. So that happened. It was fun. And I'm grateful they gave me the opportunity to show my patterns to at least the shop staff. And yeah, I had a great time. And something else that happened is this time at the shop Douce Broderie, so the one I mentioned all the time, which is not in my town, so it's kind of up north, kind of far away from me. And I did give workshops there it was for knitting your first sweater. So I wrote up a sweater pattern, which is called the Sweet Sweater. I have showed it already a few times on here. And the idea was to teach this. There is a kid that just threw himself into a hole and his dad was like, no! It's okay, the kid is fine, but it was fun to see. Yeah, the workshop was divided into 2 4-hour courses that took place at the shop. And the first one was just to getting set up with casting on the neckline, all of that, and starting the short rows for the neck. And then the second course, which is the one that happened last Saturday, was for separating body and sleeves, casting on stitches at the underarms, working on the body, and then picking up stitches for the sleeves, all of that. Yeah, a beginner course for knitting your first sweater. And it was nice. I had a fun time. It was a very great experience for me. I have already taught stuff in the past, but not in this kind of context, so it was a very interesting experience for me. I had a lot of fun, so I'm definitely going to do it again with Sandy at her shop. And I'm very proud of the students. They all managed to have fitting yoke at least. So now all they have left to do is to knit the body and the sleeves. I'm super excited to see the final results. And yeah, I'm proud of them, I'm proud of me. And the French version of the Sweet Sweater is available on the website, on the shop's website. So if you speak French, you can go and download it. However, I noticed something. Do you know the Step-by-Step Sweater by Florence Miller? It's basically a beginner pattern with a video tutorial where it explains every single step of the sweater from beginning to finish. So if you have never knit a sweater before, you can just watch this video and work the sweater. And the pattern is free and it's a great sweater. I mean, I haven't knit it, but I saw tons of versions of it knit up and it looks like a great sweater for beginners. The gauge of this sweater is 17 stitches. And it just so happens that the Sweet Sweater that I wrote up is also 17 stitches. I had no idea about the Step-by-Step Sweater gauge. I haven't knit it. I just knew it was a big gauge, but it happens to be the same. And when I wrote up the Sweet Sweater, I used Drops Air, which is a type of blown yarn. But I realized it's a little bit difficult for beginners because the yarn is very airy and lightweight, and it has no thickness and body to it, and when you try to do increases and stuff like that, the yarn tends to flatten on the needle, and it gets difficult to go into the stitches, and also there is fluff everywhere, so it's very difficult to rip back or frog stitches, and it's very difficult in general to knit because you kind of get stuck into the little pieces of fluff everywhere. So it's not the best yarn for beginners. So I tried to look up what other kind of yarns at the same gauge drops had, and they have drops nipple, that's something else, Nepal, which is the same gauge, but it's just a wool yarn. I think it's a blend of wool and alpaca. It looks amazing. I have never worked with it, but I'm gonna do another sample of the sweet sweater using this yarn. And I realized that the step-by-step sweater is using drops nipple. So the same as I'm going to use. So it's going to be a beginner raglan sweater with the same gauge as an existing beginner raglan sweater. And I just find it hilarious. The patterns are very different though, because the step-by-step sweater doesn't have short row shaping, and it has straight increases across the whole raglan. And the sweet sweater, so my patterns, it has short row shaping, because I am not writing up a pattern without short row shaping, even if it's for beginners. That's just not who I am. And it has kind of compound raglan, because you have a different increase rate on the first part compared to the second part. The increase rate is different between the body and the sleeves. Even for a beginner sweater, I'm not writing a straight raglan. I just don't. And I just find it funny to see that there is already something in the market for something I wrote up. All of this to say, I had a lot of people tell me they were really interested into the pattern of the sweet sweater and wanted to knit it up. You can get the step-by-step sweater, which is basically the same gauge and the same kind of shape. But of course, there is no short row shaping, and the fit of the raglan is, dare I say, a little bit less good than mine. But yeah, if you cannot wait, there is this sweater that's already available. But the French version is available on Sandy's website. I'm going to link it below, but only in French. I haven't had the time to translate it, because I will have you know that translating a pattern is at least twice as much work as regrading a sweater for a different gauge. It would be a lot easier and a lot faster for me to regrade the sweater for like a fingering weight gauge or even DK gauge than to translate it. And that's something I had never considered before I started writing up patterns. And that's why I pretty often include different yarn weights in my patterns. For example, the muscle tank that I released this summer, it comes in fingering and DK. And I have a lot of patterns that come in different yarn weights, because it's kind of easy and not too much work to change the weight if the construction is not too complicated, because you just have like to change the gauge in your spreadsheet and just recalculate everything, and then you have to tweak a few things and you copy paste the numbers and you're kind of done. Kind of, it's a lot more work than that, but the main thing is that. But translating a pattern, you have to change everything, all the text. Every single word you have to change, and then you have to think about how to translate this particular sentence that doesn't have an exact translation into French. And the whole layout also changes, because on average French takes more room than English. So the whole pages don't work anymore, and I have to switch out the layout where the text is placed, because I try to pay attention to not cut in the middle of a, like for example, if a row instructions is 10 rows, I try to not cut in the middle of that. And it's a lot of work, the layout, unexpectedly. So yeah, a translation is a huge work. Like, I don't think you can realize how much work that is. And up until now, I have always been quite annoyed at designers that sell the translation of their patterns as a whole new pattern. I never really liked that. And to me, it was worse to have, like, to sell the same pattern at a different language as separate patterns than to sell the same pattern at a different gauge. For me, it was worse. The translation thing, for me, was more likely to be in the same price point, the same box, the same pattern, than the gauge. But I realized that's absolutely not how it works. It's more work, which means it's cost me more time and money to translate a pattern than to change the gauge. Which is mostly why I don't translate my patterns, because I don't have the time. I cannot invest so much time, effort, and energy and money into translating a pattern because it's just not worth it for me. The amount of sales I'm gonna have if I translate a pattern in French is not worth it compared to how much sales I get because my pattern have 2 different gauges. That's worth it, which is why I do that. And since I started advertising my patterns on Sandy's website, which is of course everything is in French because we speak French here, and her shop is in a local town and she sells to local people that speak French, I've gotten so many messages, and almost always passive-aggressive messages of people that are like, why are your patterns not in French? And I'm like, because I don't knit in French. Knitting is not in French for me. I learned to knit in English, and it's just how it is. It's my reality, it's my world. And I don't know why, for some reason, French-speaking people are so aggressive towards everything that's not their language. And I'm like, hey, calm down, okay? I do this the way I want. It's my business. I'm the one making the decisions. And if I decide that it's not worth it to translate my patterns in French, it's my decision. And you don't need to start to be aggressive towards me because I'm not talking the language that we talk here. And I'm like, yeah, but my customers are not here, usually. I sell to people around the world. Anyway, just a small rant. So, all of this to say, if you speak French, the sweet sweater is available in French on Sandy's website. And if you don't, you can get the step-by-step sweater. There are no short rows, but yeah, until I translate the sweet sweater in English, you can do that. Okay, I'm too hot. I'm done. I said everything I wanted to say. I have an absolute carnage of yarn in front of me. And I still look like trash. This is so disturbing. I look like a cute little butterfly thing. Flap, flap like this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this super long and ranty and kind of random episode. Don't forget you can get the White Day cardigan with 15% off with the code Happy White Day on Ravelry and Payhip. Links below, all of that. You can subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future content from me, if you want to see what's coming up with the Holo Hood, with the Gecko Mitts that will soon be released, what decision I will do with my Shady Hoodie, am I gonna frock the whole sleeves or just redo the cuffs? Thank you so much for your support, for your comments, for your likes. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you again next time. Happy knitting. I love you.